Another good set of intriguing basketball games tonight. I was like, we had Cleveland, we had Boston, we had Dallas, we had Oklahoma. Now, let's get into some of the nitty gritty. Now, for real, I was like, thought Cleveland had a chance to really get Boston. I was like, I was like, they were down by like 20 in the third quarter, but they were able to get it down within 10. And you could like they just couldn't get enough. Uh, it's crazy that I will say it's crazy that they were even that close considering the games they did get out of Brown and Tatum. And I was like, you got decent games out of White and Holiday, but really to be honest, I was like, I think Mobley's been solid, but Garland has been not even up to really like a good standard. Just because I'm like all star, he's really your only other. I was like he really like your other guy that you need to count on. I was like Levert is really your. I was like there's the reason he's sort of like your sixth man. I was like he can go for really highs and then he just gives you like a decent game. Which tonight he gave you a decent game. It wasn't as good as his last one, but I think that what he still gave you is still there. I just think that I was like you seen a little bit of stuff out of Garland toward the end of the game, but by then it's a little too late. Um, like and don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't think that Holiday and White aren't like up on you, but I like sometimes I'm just like just go like just sometimes just take the shot that's there. I was like when you're on your mismatches, I was like take advantage of it. I was like it just seemed like sometimes he's been hesitant and he's just not there. Whereas like Mitchell, look, it's bad. It's not bad, but hey, Mitchell gonna shoot that ball regardless. And I'd sometimes rather have that than you being hesitant or not even wanting to do it in general. Um, but yeah, I was like they did have a chance in the fourth quarter. I was like it like they got it down to like 8, but I thought like three or four possessions in a row was just really bad. It was like a Levert three real quickly, and it was like a Mitchell three that like, and both of them didn't really hit nothing either. Where they just got like two layups in a row, and they were just now digging. They got a couple turnovers, and it was like one of those. I was like, you see it a lot now because everybody takes 3-point shots. It was really one of those like momentum type of threes. It was the one where it's like if we hit this and we get it down to 5, and then the other team about to call a timeout kind of thing, or it really has them on their heels, kind of shot. And they were just really poor shot because it really wasn't in rhythm. It wasn't like they broke down the defense or nothing like that. It was really like the defense was up on them. There was really no movement type of three. Then on the other end, like every time they would try to claw their way back in, Brown or Tatum I was like, they would get a timely layup. Don't get me wrong, they was also shooting threes, and Tatum was doing a lot of, those circus type of. I was like, back it down, twist, shoot the jump shot. Um, it escaped me right now what it is, but also at the same time, I sort of felt like once Tatum sort of hit that behind the backboard like jump shot in the fourth quarter, I was like, okay, this is a wrap. Uh, I was like, the problem is, I was like, I was like, the problem is that Cleveland's advantage really also some is not really like like Mitchell and Garland would normally be an advantage for people even though they're shorter, because of like but they're able to normally get up. I'll let you just speed and stuff, but I was like they're sort of also matched up against the Celtics, who's like big guards, and then the rest of their lineup big. Whereas like the problem is with Cleveland is they don't really have anybody that's outside of Mobley. There's nobody else with a real like event, like a real like height advantage or a real like crazy speed advantage. All they're do like Levert's like 6'6", Struce is like 6'5", Okoro 6'5". Like there's nobody like Brown 6'6", Drew Holiday's like 6'4", but he's big. White is like 6'4", but he's big. So um, but I will say at the same time that even though Cleveland did lose this game, I was like I still have them with a chance to really get another win. Uh, the Celtics really to me is a team, like, don't get me wrong, like they get hot, but they're also sort of a front running team in a way that I'm saying like they have the lead, so it's like cool. We just got to hit a couple jump shots and just keep them off of us. Whereas you get up on them like a decent amount. I was like, don't get me wrong, no lead is like really ever safe anymore, kind of thing. But I was like, but they the way they go cold, and sometimes they get out of their heads of going to the basket and because I was like, really be honest, Brown is really the only one that really goes to the basket. Everybody else really is like jump shooting first. Where like Brown, like don't get me wrong, he can get three happy as well, but he's the only one I know that will actually put his head down and go to the basket. I was like, Tatum doesn't fully do that. He did that a lot more in this game, but he doesn't always do it. Or he'll go to the basket, but then he'll settle for a jump shot. I was like, also I feel like because he's like, I'm taller than you, I could just shoot over you, kind of thing. So I was like, he doesn't take a man in that way. But I was like, I guess I still give Cleveland a shot here. I was like, they won't probably. I don't think they'll get blown out. I was like, but I was like, you Mitchell's gonna need some more help. He's gotta have somebody else come to the party. There were just nobody else there, and I was like, the Celtics got too many guys that can go off. Because Brown and Tatum, to me, like Tatum can have a bad shooting night and still get his points. So they're still gonna get their points. So you need somebody else with Cleveland other than Mitchell. Just you hoping that he gonna have to go for 50. That's a little bit too much to ask. I'm trying to go 104 with the rest of that team. Um, Dallas Thunder. Um, I was like, after the first game, I gave the Thunder basically kind of an apology because I was like, and not necessarily like, oh man, they're gonna like beat Dallas, but I was like, I forgot a couple of advantages that they had against Dallas. Well, since that time, it's been a real struggle for them. I was like, just of like getting consistency. I was like, don't get me wrong, they're always there. I was like, they're always in games. I was like, Shea is always going to keep them in the game because he's guaranteed pretty much 30 points a night. It's all about who is that other person coming with them. You didn't get a good game out of Chet really. I was like, in this one, I was like, I think he struggled a lot more, I think, in this game than he did in the second game. Jalen Williams had like a pretty all right game, but you can see he hadn't gotten like on a real like hot streak. Like he's still hitting shots, and I was like, at least he's going to the basket and stuff like that. So I will give him that because I was like, he's not just settling for a 3-point shot. Isaiah Joe was a real guy for them. I was like, I think without him, I was like, they could because the thing is that what Dallas to me is doing is making sure like they're trying to get Luca trying to get himself going, and then you're trying to get like PJ Washington going, and then you're hoping that either uh, Hardaway Jr. or Green gives you some type of offense. I was like, and I'll say the big man for a minute, but you're really hoping that one of those two, or a combination of the two. Like tonight, it was sort of a combination of the two. Kind of like Green hit a couple threes, and I was like Hardaway was able to hit a couple threes, but he also used his threat of a 3-point shooter to go to the basket a lot of times. And then you seen, even though Kyrie was struggling through 3 quarters, like this game he was actually struggling compared to like last game. He didn't take that really many crazy amount of shots. He was really setting up people. This one you could tell he was trying to find it off, and he really couldn't until that 4th quarter. And once he got that layup going, it was a wrap. He was just in rhythm that whole time. I was like the big man for Dallas it to me is being more. I was like, even though they're not hitting, which they're going to have to find a way to do something about it. They're not hitting what should be 3-point plays. And I was like, there's a lot of time that Gafford and Lively should have dunks or easy layups along with the fouls, and they're just not hitting them. They're not, like I was like, and it's not even that the fouls are necessarily in a way where they're making sure that they can't get the 3-point play. They're just sometimes missing them, and they need to hit them, especially because they're getting them in foul trouble, but they're not hitting the free throw like you've seen that with like Hacker Lively tonight. Just because it's like, okay, cool, you getting us in foul trouble, but you're not making us pay or anything. But I think it's more effective than say when they was facing the Pelicans. One, they got better threats, with Irvin and Luca than the Pelicans. But also, one, they got actually two big men with compared to Nance. That's not really the same kind of big man. I was like, Valanciunas did his work, but he's not really a defensive stopper. Like those two are defensive stoppers first. I mean, obviously they're not offensive players, but they're better lob threats. Because Valanciunas doesn't have that either. Valanciunas is probably more like Kleber for Dallas, which I think if they had him, I think this might not even really be too much of a game because you seen like when they were doing Lively and Gafford when they was either getting hurt, foul trouble, or just being tired, or and all that stuff. Like when they had to take Lively out and they went small, Maxey would have been their small ball dude, and while he's not going to, I was like he's not the same perimeter guy like Lively is on. But he can shoot threes, he can make his free throw, and but he's a good system defensive player. Um, I was like, I was like that negates where Chet can use his height in a lot of those cases too. Because I was like he's still going he'll still have the advantage over Maxey, but it won't be like the same advantage when it's PJ Washington who's like 6'7". But PJ been freaking awesome for him. I was like, to me, I was like, him he allows everybody else to not have to be worried about getting their shot. Luca pretty much, I this dude's over here getting beat the hell up, but I also think it's like his superpower or what gets him going because whatever happens after that, he pretty much takes off and makes the next shot. Whenever he gets hurt, I was like, he might be a turnover here or something like that, but he takes the next shot. Um, I was like, Dort sort of like is like bodying him up, but like I said, the thing, to me, what the difference is between him and Ingram is that Ingram doesn't have the same body that Luka has to take Dort's punishment. Cause I'm like, Dort can body Ingram, even though Ingram's like 3-4 inches taller than him, and you'd be like, oh, I was like, but the way Ingram plays, like Ingram doesn't play like Kevin Durant. Like Kevin Durant can, like he'll get bodied by Dort, but he can shoot. His shooting is so smooth compared to Ingram, who got to get to certain spots and stuff like that. And it's a lot. It's a lot more that Dort can push him off his spot. He can't really. He's not like him and Luca aren't really like moving each other, and that's why you see them colliding and like the fouling and why like all kind of like there's it's two rocks hitting each other the whole time. Um, yeah, I was like I thought that Dallas would have a problem with Oklahoma City because you think about it, they really got like like everybody talks about how like the NBA more skilled and stuff like that, but to be honest, how many teams really have where you could say like 1 through 7 is actually skilled? Not many. I was like, you got your main like 3 people. Uh, the Thunder really actually has multiple people, and then they got some people they don't even play. Like Hayward got some minutes, and I was like, Hayward probably be like the 6th, 7th dude on somebody else's playoff team. Whereas like here, he's really only just in case you get in foul trouble. But with Isaiah Joe, uh, uh, Wallace, uh, you didn't really get. I was like, you didn't really get enough from him or the other Williams guy. I was like, like solid minutes if you want to say giving everybody a breather. I was like, Giddy didn't play really like none of the second half. I was like really like none of the fourth quarter and like really hardly in the. He played a little bit in the third. Uh, I I was like, I thought they could have used him just because I thought they. I was like because especially once Williams messed up his ankle, he was gone for a minute. But just because I was like they needed another guy to handle the ball. Like Dort, I understand you got to have him out there because he's your defensive stopper and he can hit threes even though he's not a 3 point shooter. And I know Giddy's not either, but he's also not. Cause I was like, I thought a couple times towards the end, I was like, he had the ball and he gave him up a lot of turnovers. Um, I was like, that's sort of the only problem. But I was like, at that moment, do you Giddy or like Isaiah Joe who's giving you the offense? I was like, you sort of in the spot, but I thought that Giddy would give them another playmaker, and I thought that's what they needed because they really was just Shea, and that was really it. Because Williams was really being like a scorer at that moment, and he wasn't fully. I was like, he was there, but it was just like nothing in the paint. Like they were just really just stopping all that up. Um, yeah, so I was like, the Dallas defense, you got to give it to them for like especially towards the end, um, because I was like they really slowed down the rest of that team. Like Shea was still able to get some of his offense going until like the last like 2 minutes. I was like, but it was really they really stifled everybody else. And to me, I was like, to me, I think if you sort of, I was like how they have been with Chet, I think that's the guy that really unlocks the rest of that team because you don't have. I was like, because your matchups for him, I was like he could shoot over PJ. So I was like, even though PJ is probably the best one that can get him on the perimeter, I was like, he gonna get your big man in foul trouble at times too. I was like, or he gonna take advantage. I was like, he's always around the ball. I was like, he's been blocking like crazy. You can't take that away from him. But I was like, they pretty much were just making sure he couldn't do anything today. Going to the basket, I was like, if it wasn't something like really close up, and even then, um, yeah, I was like, I'm not saying that the Thunder can't win another game because, like I said, all it takes is one of those moments when Kyrie is slowly doing his thing or whatever like that, and they could just get one other person going. They just haven't gotten them all clicking except for Shea. And then I was like Isaiah Joe for you know in spurts, but he doesn't get enough minutes like that. Wiggins didn't have a good shooting game at all either, so your other pieces wasn't hitting, and you're going to need those if you're going to get Luka and Kyrie and PJ, and then like a collaboration some to other people as well too. But anyway, we'll see how the rest of the game's going, and get excited for the uh, Minnesota in the next game. Which the Knicks, you got to win that game when the DiVincenzo and Burks giving you those type of games. And I was like, I wouldn't be too worried about Minnesota. I was like, their defense wasn't there, and I think that would really carry the rest of the team. And I was like, the Nuggets just got into a rhythm and flow, and that was able to carry them. So we'll see. I think they'll respond a lot better this game. I think this will be actually a close game because I think Denver figured out a little bit more stuff, but I think Minnesota just didn't play their game. But anyway, till next set of games, out.